Anin, this is Braden Butterfield, back with episode 4 of the Manoomin Chronicles, a series brought to you by the KBIC Natural Resources Department. This series is a partnership of Manoomin, Wiikwedong, the Keweenaw Indian community, Gete-gitigaaning, the Vieux Desert Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Office for Coastal Management. In this episode, we'll hear from Owen Swartz, a community dietitian from Glyphwick, Keweenaw, aka Peter McGeshick, a rice chief from Mole Lake, and Peter David, a wild biologist from Glyphwick. Like others in this series, they are attendees of the Manoomin Restoration Workshop that took place here in the KBIC. After introductions, I asked each what Manoomin meant to them personally.
It's a very big question, when I think of Manoomin, I think of relationships of people not only with one another, but relationships of people with the world around them. I also think when I hear stories about ricing, I also hear stories about rice camps, and a lot of beautiful family memories come from those rice camps, going out and harvesting in the morning, processing in the afternoon. So I think wild rice to me represents relationships in its physical form.
They asked us to summarize earlier in the workshop 3 words to describe what wild rice means to you, and to me it was life, love, and serenity. And I always tell people that there's really what wild rice means to me is indescribable, because it's in my heart. It's what I feel. It's what I feel when I'm looking at the rice bed. It's what I feel when I'm harvesting wild rice. It's what I feel when I'm processing wild rice. It's indescribable. It's just it's a feeling. It speaks to you. The Spirit speaks to you. And if you've ever had the opportunity to hear it, it's who we are as a people. It's who our culture is. That's why we're here. So it's a feeling. It's in your heart. You feel it. That's the best I can do.
So I'm not a tribal member, and yet I feel extremely privileged to have been introduced to Manoomin, and it's become just an incredibly deep part of my life and my family's life. My wife also works on Manoomin issues. We've become, we try to be stewards when we are able to do that. We're rice harvesters. We do a little bit of rice finishing. We love to eat rice. It's a plant that has literally changed my worldview, I think. It's taught me a lot. And so rice really has so many different layers of meaning. But ultimately, more and more, I think of it as something that's kind of teaching me a whole ethic about how to relate with the more than human world.
Then we discussed the collaboration and the partnership that had come together to work to restore Manoomin. Most walk away feeling that we can look forward to a positive future, but there's more work to be done.
So what this partnership means to me, this collaboration about learning about wild rice and wild rice restoration in these a bigger effort or an effort from a larger group of agencies to restore wild rice. I think it's honoring that rice, and it's fully recognizing from different levels and from different perspectives the importance of wild rice and importance of those relationships as well. So I think that's what that means to me.
On one level, its simplest level almost, is it just means that Manoomin gets exposed to more and more people, and people who do get exposed to this plant become fascinated and enthralled with it. And that in itself is a very good thing. On a more concrete level, this has created new collaborations and new partnerships. It's brought new minds into the circle, new skills, new ways of seeing things, and it's brought funding and support, and it's brought the opportunities like today where these minds get together and mix and good things come out of that. And it's really encouraging for me. When I started my career, there wasn't a lot of this kind of stuff going on, and there's been an explosive growth, I think, especially in the last decade. And Manoomin needs that help now more than ever with climate change and those things. So these initiatives are critical, and this one's been really valuable.
Next, we dove a little deeper into how our interviewees interacted with Manoomin.
What are my practices? I teach as many people as I can how to harvest Manoomin. I teach them how when to harvest push poles, when to harvest the crotch, how to make those items, how to harvest cedar, and how to make. My children know how to make push poles and sticks, and they're 7 and 9 years old. My life revolves around Manoomin. I think about it every day. I pray about it every day. I make sure that people have Manoomin. I don't sell Manoomin. I make sure that people have Manoomin. If somebody doesn't have rice, it's my responsibility to get them rice somehow. And it's who I am.
I interact with Manoomin on a physical level. I rice in the fall. So I harvest rice with my husband for our family. And then throughout the whole entire year, I have an opportunity to cook with rice, both professionally and in my own home. And I have the opportunity to bring Manoomin, wild rice, to the general public, also to our tribal memberships, and talk about it in all sorts of different perspectives, whether it's harvesting, whether it's the cooking aspect, whether it's memories people have. So get a lot of access and contact with wild rice in conversation, and also through cooking and interacting with community folks.
Our program has a bunch of different aspects. We have active restoration efforts that we try to do. We do abundance monitoring. We do harvest monitoring. We might interact with the processes that affect it. So working on projects to adjust water levels. We do other forms of stewardship. We try to do a little bit of research, or at least cooperate with research that other folks are doing. But at another level, I think the interaction is also kind of a personal one, and one thing I think you have to do to be good at any of this is to just spend time with rice, spend time in the rice beds, on the water, and at different times of the year. Unfortunately, I don't get to do nearly as much of that as I should be doing. But those are the things that ultimately create other opportunities, I think.
It's been pretty interesting and downright inspiring to see all these different agencies and individuals coming together, all in the name of Manoomin.
So as an organization, we have many partners. We work with each of our 11 member tribes and their communities. We work pretty closely with their rice chiefs and community members to identify spaces and water bodies that have rice, where rice used to be, where restoration efforts are currently being undertaken. And we also work to support restoration efforts as well within our communities. And I think we have some other additional partnerships beyond the communities. I think there's some federal and state partnerships as well for restoration of wild rice. So we kind of work on it on all different levels with wild rice, not only from the restoration side, but also all the way to the harvesting.
I put my tobacco out every day, and I pray for the rice. And that's how I know there's going to be rice. In the short, that's it. Creator gave it to us. Our responsibility is to it, just like everything else. And as long as we don't forget that, and as long as there are some of us that practice that, it will always be there. The Creator will be there for us.
I just would, really reiterate that I feel deeply privileged to have had the opportunity to be introduced to Manoomin and Ojibwe worldviews about how to take care of these resources. It was a tremendous part of my personal education, and very different from my own cultures, and it did a lot to shape how I see the world today and how I want to leave it for the future.
Then it was time to pose our self-proclaimed signature question, which is the question we use to end each interview. What does wild rice mean to you in one word?
Relationships.
Life.
It's very hard because it has so many different levels of meaning. One of the first ones I usually go to is generous.
This series is a partnership of Manoomin, Wiikwedong, the Keweenaw Bay Indian Community, Gete-gitigaaning, the Lac-Vieux Desert Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Office for Coastal Management. This collaboration has come together to listen and share stories of our work protecting and restoring Manoomin. This is Braden Butterfield and Keweenaw.